Pavel. How are you? Great to have you back here. Pavel
Yeah, hi
Hala
Dale.
of
Hi Dale.
spreadcharts.com. Pavel, so your last two times here, uh, uh, well, last time you were bearish crude and we had a big break. You were real right about that. And then I saw your tweet. It was near the top in copper before the stock crash that you were bearish copper. That was a big trade. Maybe you don't want to make a forecast now and just sit pat as someone on a roll and not make any new forecasts for a while.
Yeah,
You ever feel that way? God, I've been in the zone. Do I want to spoil it here? Anyway, what's top of mind with everything we saw yesterday, and what's your work telling you?
yeah, with regard to yesterday, I mean, it's hard to make any conclusion just yet. I mean, we have some crazy politicians here in Europe, but you guys, you raised the bar. So
Yeah, yeah,
that was just spectacular.
yeah,
But it's in the short term, anything is possible. The first data I saw on yesterday's close was not really much encouraging. It can change till the end of week, so maybe we will get some more breadth and some more decline in volatility. That would definitely help. But in the short term, I'm still think we are in a
bear market.
correction or bear market.
Mhm.
But that can change pretty quickly. But once again, I prefer to wait for the data. But the
So
yes,
then that would have me think that the bounce, copper had a pretty good bounce yesterday. You want to show your charts or your website or something,
sure.
or I could. So I would assume that if you feel that way, that any rally we have in copper is a sale.
Yes, yes,
Okay.
because that's what I want to talk about today. Because I continue to be bearish cyclical commodities like copper and oil. The downside in oil might not be too bad because there are, political
Yeah.
alignments with Saudis and domestic drillers that will prevent Trump or the OPEC or all these guys to nuke the price too much. So maybe it will continue to rather drift lower than crash. But I definitely continue to be bearish copper, and the reason is basically the same. Here is the comparison between the copper and the Chinese offshore renminbi, the Chinese currency,
Yeah.
which is in the middle
Okay.
subchart,
Yeah.
and you can see that it does not look really encouraging. And I think the outlook got even worse after yesterday's Trump announcement when he decided to go full steam ahead against China.
Yeah.
And this is unlikely to change in the near future. I think it's a bipartisan consensus.
Yeah.
And
That's the only thing they agree on.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So we saw that during the Biden
Right.
administration.
Yeah.
And even if Trump decides to make a deal, I think it will be very short-lived because when you look at the Senate or the consensus in the American Senate, it's quite clearly against China. That became obvious during the TikTok, the law. I don't remember the bill, the name of the bill, but the Senate was obviously or is obviously aligned against China much more than Trump.
But
So
I'm reading, and there were some attendees saying that Trump wants TikTok to stay, and people are kind of thinking that that could be, a big thing for him to maybe relent with China if he could get a TikTok deal. Do you think it's related?
yeah, I definitely think it's related, or at least Trump thinks
Yeah,
it's
that
related.
and that's
So
all that matters right now.
yeah,
What the
exactly.
king thinks, right?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
Okay, so maybe that's going to fall into place down the line too, so we could get TikTok. I think that's going to be a big thing. Uh, I know you're in the oil. Are you concerned at all about? I think there's going to be a military strike in Iran, uh, probably before month's end. Do you think that's going to have any impact? Not that um, Iran could, even if they don't hit Iranian oil fields and they just go for nukes. I've been reading that Iran, rather than retaliating against Israel, who has the dome, will make a move on Saudi Arabia to damage oil facilities there that would have more impact on the world for being hit. Uh, any of those concerns? And I know you're in oil. Aren't there a lot of bears in oil right now? I mean, we went nowhere for a year sideways, and then we broke down. Who's bullish oil that you know? Anyone?
Yeah, the sentiment is definitely not as optimistic as before. On the other hand, I don't necessarily think it's outright uh, panic
Pessimistic?
because
Yeah.
outright pessimistic because when I look at my preferred sentiment indicator, which is the net traders, basically the difference between the number of traders who are net long and net short for both Brent and WTI, I
Yeah.
have repeatedly told our users that when there is a real panic in the oil market, I want to see either this indicator for Brent or WTI, or preferably both, to be negative, like we saw in, for example, 2015,
2020.
2020. And right
What?
now we are
Oh, you mean
no,
that the green stuff underneath is negative. You
yeah,
want to see it negative.
yeah, I want to see it negative.
Okay.
It's not a
COT.
it's not a necessary condition for a
Right.
bottom.
Right.
But if we are speaking about real panic and multi-year buying opportunity, that's what I want to see. And we are
Okay.
nowhere near close that yet. So,
Because if I just covered up the title, because anytime you look at a title, especially if you have positions on, you become subjective. So I cover
mhm,
this up and I don't know it's oil. Okay. And I look at the low from 2020, COVID low. And then
mhm.
we have this huge move into the Ukrainian invasion. To me, it looks like over almost 3 years, all it's done nothing impulsive to the downside yet. It all looks like corrective action from that low in 2020 to the high in 2022. I mean,
Mhm.
if you looked at a chart, couldn't you say that's possible?
Yeah, yeah, that certainly looks that way.
Anyway, I'm talking my book now because I started buying oil calls this week. So
Mhm.
anyway, just the other side of the coin that I want to put out there is that a lot of people are very complacent, and no one. I don't think there's any risk premium in the crude oil market right now.
You're
Anyway, I
correct.
could,
I mean, mhm.
I mean, the Saudis raised their production, I think, because of what's going to happen in Iran to kind of cushion the market, and we also need to fill up the SPR again. So maybe Trump made a deal, cut oil, increase production, break the price of crude. So that cushions anything that might be a spillover from this, and that we would also start filling up our SPR through them. So that's my bullish
Mhm.
oil narrative.
Well, few things. A tactical play going long crude oil, especially through options, speculating on war in the Middle East. That's a sound trade. I mean, it definitely makes sense. And if you
Uh, it's a
took
lottery.
advantage,
It's like
yeah,
buying
it's
a
a
lottery
lottery,
ticket. Yeah,
definitely. And
yeah.
especially if you took advantage of the recent sell-off due to the tariffs and everything. That's a sensible thing to do. However. I don't think the US necessarily have to replenish the SPR. We are no longer in the 70s. or at the beginning of this century, the US is a major producer of crude oil,
Producer, yeah.
albeit, yeah, you lack the heavy stuff, but Canada is there, and if you really want, Venezuela is over there. So that's not a problem. So the SPR can be refilled in the future, but there is no need to do it immediately. And regarding the war, yeah, it could happen, but I always ask myself how it benefits Trump, because I think it all comes down to this question: does Trump really want a war in the Middle East? I think no, because it would mean higher prices, not just for oil, but it would exacerbate the inflationary pressures around the world. So that would be generally bad for America. Uh, and his recent action in Yemen is clearly demonstrating to be a warning, but I'm skeptical that he has the guts to go in, all in against Iran. So I don't know. I think,
So the B-1 bombers are like his tariff threats.
yeah, exactly, exactly.
Okay,
And
that's very possible.
his
Uh,
recent turnaround yesterday proves the point. He's simply too weak to go full on. If there are some uh, downsides for him personally and for the America, so I'm not too convinced that he will launch an outright war against Iran, because the
okay,
incentives are simply not there.
okay.
From
Well,
my point of
we'll
no,
see. I mean, that's a rational argument. They also, he does also believe he put out, if anything ever happened to him, to obliterate Iran because he believes that they were behind assassination attempts on him.
exactly,
So,
it's all about him. If
right.
anything happens to him, I totally agree with you. But Trump only cares about Trump, no one
Uh,
else. So
Okay.
why
All
should
right.
he care about the geopolitical tensions in the Middle East with regard to Israel and others
Yeah.
if it doesn't
Yeah.
concern him personally?
Yeah. I mean, look, I like what I'm seeing coming out of chat. Very low, limited strike. Again, complacency. No one's worried. So when I'm long something, uh, you know, I like that. No, no one's worried about anything like this. Yeah, it's about regime change. Anyway,
Mhm.
could I
Um,
ask you? I
mhm.
don't know. It might be off topic from what you brought here today, but I know you're bearish copper. It's an industrial, and silver is kind of in between precious and industrial. Do you have a view on those other two metals? Anything in sentiment? You really can't find gold bears anywhere, can you?
Yeah, that's true. But I like to get back to the point, which is that
Okay,
I
copper.
expect the Chinese yuan, the Chinese currency, to break down,
Yeah,
and there will
part of
be
the trade war.
due to trade war and especially Chinese will have difficulty to find end markets for their goods. And it's not just about the US, it's also about Europe, which will come to the conclusion that they have to protect their domestic market too against cheap Chinese goods. So maybe they will be not so theatrical as Trump, but there will be or there will come trade restrictions against China, even from Europe. So their position is not really good. So that's the reason why I expect the Chinese yuan to break down, and that will be bad for cyclical commodities. Another reason supporting my my view is that when I go back here, is that broad commodities, measuring by, for example, the Bloomberg Commodity Index, failed to break above this important resistance around 108. So I think,
What's the makeup of this commodity index? What's in this?
It's a
Gains up.
broad-based index made of energy like crude oil, gasoline,
Okay.
and others,
Grains
metals,
or
yeah, grains,
oh,
metals, agriculture, sorry,
uh,
precious metals,
okay.
base metals. So it's a broad index,
Yeah.
which is the reason why I like it because each individual commodity can be affected by I don't know, minor issues in its
Yeah.
production or demand cycles, whatever. But if
Yeah.
you take it on aggregate, it provides you a pretty good picture of the overall situation in commodity markets. And this failure to break above
Yeah.
was important, and I expect it will eventually test the 90 level. I don't know what happens then, but that's my target. So this is aligned with my bearish thesis for cyclically sensitive commodities. And as I said, the situation in crude oil is difficult because, as you mentioned, the geopolitical tensions in the Middle East, no matter how it eventually evolves, and also the limited downside due to the Saudi interests and domestic shale drillers. So copper or industrial metals are much more vulnerable
Well,
here. So
okay.
my
$3.
that's certainly possible. That's certainly
Okay.
possible.
Because I
So
mean that those two candles right there, um, we take out four, it looks like it opens the door for three.
definitely, yeah. I don't have any specific target in my mind,
Uh,
but
you know, well,
seasonality is yeah.
okay, well, you're on copper. A friend of mine who, trades miners, he was saying a lot of gold companies now are actually going about changing their names from gold companies
Hmm.
to copper companies because that's where they want to focus their mining efforts more in copper than gold. Have you
Yeah,
heard
this
or read anything about that?
Yeah, definitely. It's all over the place. And it's not just gold companies, but also platinum companies like the SBSW in South Africa. Everybody's
Uh-huh.
pivoting into battery metals and
Okay.
copper is not necessarily utilized in batteries, but it's heavily involved in electrification. So
For yeah,
it's
the for those data centers and AI and the new chips and everything, it's part of the electrification, right?
Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
another headwind for copper is the unfavorable seasonality starting near the end of April. So maybe there will be, or the bounce will continue. I don't know. I don't have a strong conviction in the short term, but in the medium term, I think copper will move much lower. So
Okay.
the
So it looks like we
seasonality.
could rally into May, sell in May and go away in copper.
Who knows? Who knows? In
Yeah,
the short,
who
yeah,
knows? I
there
know.
was a strong sell-off, so some mean reversion would be only natural. But in
Yeah.
the medium term and maybe long term, there's definitely much more downside. And one last thing I want to talk about because I was listening to you guys talking about currencies, and you were bearish the US dollar,
Yeah,
and
for quite a while
yeah, and I mean the number one opportunity, in my opinion, right now is the US dollar.
to buy
And
it, to
yeah,
buy it.
to buy it. I'm incredibly bullish the US dollar. Once again, maybe not in the very near term, which means days up to few weeks. We can go and retest 100. That's certainly possible by looking at the dollar index. But if you look at the sentiment measured, for example, by the commitments of traders data, below you can see that retail is net short the dollar futures, the dollar index futures, and the large speculators I mean, measured by the net, my favorite net traders index, more of them are now net short than net long. So the sentiment is becoming bearish.
Extreme bearish is
Yeah,
what you're
it's
saying.
it's not as extreme as we saw during summer last
Okay.
year. It's not yet.
So could we go to 95, which is an equality target if you go back to
Mhm.
if well, you got it right there. It would be equal to the peak we had in October 22, and that break down to 98 and then use that same count from 110, gets you down to 95.
I don't think
Or is
so.
that
And
too much? That's too much.
I could be wrong, but I don't think so. If I zoom out,
Okay.
and I really zoom out, I'm really not good in trade charting lines and this stuff.
Yeah.
But for me, I don't know. You can place
Uh,
the line
that's an
wherever
it.
you are. This
Yeah.
is just a
Okay.
consolidation after breakout, and I
All right.
eventually I expect the dollar will move much higher. I don't know how much higher. I don't have any target, but I don't think we'll go above the high from the beginning of this century, about 120. So that's the number one opportunity in my opinion.
That is
Uh,
really interesting, Pavel. And
it's a bet on America, and this is something I was writing on my personal blog. So this is definitely a bet on America because there is no alternative. Or who will take the lead? You know, China? I don't think so with their horrible demographics and breaking economic system. Europe is totally broken. You know, our economy is dictated by weather. You know, if it's too cold, we just shut down. So I
well,
think
were
there's
you, let me ask you this. Were you surprised with all this dollar weakness and the market going down? Because a lot of people have become accustomed to weak dollar equals risk on. And it certainly was risk off for a few months. You could plot the dollar over the triple Qs and they followed the same path.
Yeah, I mean, I was not surprised because the dollar became overbought. Yeah,
Okay.
the price action. I mean, the positive
All right.
correlation with equities was definitely
I yeah. All right.
surprising,
Yeah.
but I think that was a natural rotation into emerging markets.
Yeah.
Especially China. If you look at the weights, it was mostly fueled by China. But
So that'll reverse then. The foreign markets outperformance that a lot of people are saying is a secular turn is a false start if you're right about the dollar. And I looking at your dollar chart that you showed before, I
mhm.
think we need a flush under a big round number to really get sentiment really bearish a dollar. And that's when I'll start looking at it.
Yeah, I mean that's certainly possible, but
Yeah.
I personally think in the short term, and it's a weakly held opinion that we won't go below 100. We may
Okay.
drop and make a lower low below 101,
Yeah.
maybe, but this is certainly a strong support in my opinion. And my base case is that we will bottom and the rally will resume. But
Okay. All
I'm
right,
not
we'll
sure
see.
about
That
the
looks
short
like
term.
98 with that line there. So
You
that's a
know, but
nice
as I said,
view.
I'm really not good at
I like
drawing
that line.
lines.
You're better than you think. You have that
Yeah.
tag there. So anyway, we're all, you know what, Pavel? We're all our own worst critics.
Yeah,
You know
maybe I
what I
will.
mean? The people look and go, "Oh, that's great stuff," and we go, you know. Anyway, congratulations on being in the zone. Also, for not just jumping from horse to horse when things begin to work to look at things as just being another opportunity, you know, a little bear market bounce in copper and sell more. Looks like three to me on your charts, bro.
Yeah, I agree. I think it will go much lower. So
Okay. Why
I
don't you
will watch
show? Oh, go.
the Bloomberg Commodity Index, and I'm really interested when the copper will trade when where the copper will trade when the BCom hits 90. That would be interesting for
Okay.
me.
All right. People that want to follow you and get involved with you, why don't you show your website and um, what you have to offer them to check you out?
Sure, you can go to our website, thespreadcharts.com, and sign up for our app, which is the software you just saw, all the charts that has sentiment data, signals, and everything, seasonality, uh, decades of historical data. And we also publish our own research, for example, not just about commodities like copper or oil, but also macro and other stuff. So just go to our website and get started either for free to try the app and the software for free, or sign up for the full version.
Very reasonable for 3 months, 40 a month.
Yeah,
Okay.
definitely. We're very cheap.
RC says in 2018, Mighty Dollar defiantly kissed 90 when 45 was there. So they won't 47 do the same. Whatever that, I don't understand.
Hmm.
Okay. RC, I'm not sure. Okay, so thank you, Pavel, my trading warrior brother. I hope your role continues, and I know it's not a role because you do the work, you work hard, and you've been around a while. Uh, I'm
Yeah, thanks,
so
Dale.
I'm impressed with that copper call. It was nice. I'm glad I saw it. Always tag me when there's something
Okay.
you want me to remember,
Okay.
and follow Pavel on X, everybody, at spreadcharts.com. At spreadcharts.com. Follow Pavel. He's got some very interesting insights. Um, I wouldn't have been thinking about some of the things that he brought up. That chart on the dollar was pretty interesting down there. So, uh, everyone have a great day. Don't just count your copper wire. I don't know how you count copper wire. Don't you don't have to go into empty houses and tear out the copper. All right. It's
Just wait
going to
for
go, it's
lower
only,
prices.
and if you do, you have to sell it right away because it's going to $3. And maybe that's when you go back into stripping houses of copper. So give the plumbers a break and don't just count your pips, count your blessings. And thank you, Pavel.
Thanks,
Good,
Dale.
good hunting, buddy.
Thanks. Bye.
All right, so that's a wrap, everyone. You could join the team in 14 minutes on the Morning Edge. They had a great day yesterday, but the way I hear it, um, people in the chat room had a good month yesterday. So you want to be part of it. And I'll see everyone. We'll wrap the week. TGIF tomorrow. Adios.
Hey traders, this is Blake Morrow with ForexAnalytix. Thanks for stopping by our YouTube channel. Don't forget to like these videos, share them, and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any of the content that we provide here for free. Thanks for stopping by. I'll see you in the next video.